Scripture lesson for today is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 14 through 16. This is Jesus speaking, saying, "You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under a bushel basket, but on the lampstand, and gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven." Amen. This is the word of the Lord. Let us go to God in prayer. Gracious God, be with us as we hear your word. May we leave here and live your word, now and always. Amen. Today we are talking about being a light. So what is light? The dictionary defines light as something that makes vision possible, or the sensation aroused by stimulation of the visual receptors. There are lots of things associated with the word light. The dawn, daylight, inner light, enlightenment, truth is known as light. Light can mean not heavy, not serious, not filling. Good is associated as light, and darkness is defined as the absence of light. In the world we live, we have floodlights and traffic lights, searchlights, candle lights, flashlights, spotlights, incandescent lights, LED lights, which are in the sanctuary now. All the bulbs have been changed. You won't find one out of place, and don't tell me if you do. We have black lights and backlights and light bulbs and lighthouses. There are different ways in which we use the word light. You can be the light of someone's life, you can be a ray of light, and you can bring something to light. You can have a light touch, you can be a leading light, you can trip the light fantastic, be light as a feather, light-hearted, make light of something, and if you want to ruin someone's life, you can gaslight them. Now, I don't mean to hog the limelight, but I hope my rant sheds some light on the subject, and that the light bulb went off in your head, so now maybe some of you have seen the light. Light and all its meanings are an integral part of life, and for us here today, we must add one more aspect, because Jesus said, "You are the light of the world." Now, how does that statement make you feel? On the one hand, it fills me with confidence and hope, because Jesus is the light of the world, and to be put in that company makes me feel really good. It makes me want to serve and help and love as Jesus did. But on the other hand, I cannot do what Jesus did, so serving as the light of the world is a daunting, overwhelming, never going to reach my goal type of task. Nevertheless, that is the command from our Lord. All those years ago, Jesus came to shed light on a world darkened by indifference and hatred, by sin and disobedience. His light conquered violence and sin with grace and love, and he calls us to do the same. Now, does that mean that we really are supposed to be lights unto the world? Or is this just one of those things in the Bible that we read, but we're really in actuality allowed to skip over it? You know, we already follow and do a whole lot as Christian people. We follow the 10 Commandments. We love our neighbors, we help the poor, we forgive, we resist temptation, we do unto others, we live out our calling, we enter into a personal relationship with Christ, we hold each other accountable, and we say grace before every meal. On top of all that, must we also be a light for the entire world? Well, the answer to that is a resounding yes. In verse 16, Jesus says, "In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven." My study Bible does something a little different. Instead of explaining how we shine our lights, it demonstrates the exact opposite. Here's the quote: If we live for Christ, we will glow like light, showing others what Christ is like. But we hide our light by being quiet when we would speak, by going along with the crowd, by denying the light, by letting sin dim our light, by ignoring the needs of others. Be careful not to shut your light off from the rest of the world. So by focusing on the way we hide our lights, we can see how important it really is to let those lights shine for all to see. Jesus says no one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under a bushel basket, but on the lampstand, and gives so it can give light to the whole house. Now, if we come home at night and our house is dark, we simply flip a switch, and the darkness goes away and our house has light. The people in Jesus' day did not have the benefit of electricity. And here's how Barclay explains what Jesus is saying here. He says, in Palestine, houses were dimly lit by a single lamp, which was just a bowl filled with oil, and it was set on a lampstand in the middle of the room. The most difficult thing about this light in the house was in lighting the lamp, because there was no matches, there was no lighters. So when people left the house, instead of extinguishing the lamp, they put it under a clay bushel pot as a safety precaution until they returned, and then they took the pot away and the light would again shine. That's from Barclay's commentary. A light, in order to do its job properly, cannot be covered. It must be seen. When Jesus calls us to be a light of the world, it means that our lives as children of God are meant to be seen. They are meant to shine, and not just in church or with our Christian friends. Our light should shine for the entire world to see. It's very easy, very natural to shine our lights for Christ in church, in Christian settings, during the pulpit tour when we invite other pastors to be with us, at Lenten lunches, at Bible study. It's harder, but just as important, to shine our lights for Christ in a restaurant or in the workplace, at school, in the produce aisle, at the movies, even while standing in a long line. It's very easy and very natural to shine our lights when we are helping, when we are serving, when we are praying for other people. It's harder, but just as important, to shine our lights for Christ when we are angry and embarrassed, when we are called to defend our actions, when we are singled out, when we fail, when we are wrong, when we need to apologize. Our Christianity is something to be proud of, something that we should show everyone in every situation. Jesus did not say you are a light of the church, or you are a light to your fellow Christians. He said you are the light of the world, which means your light must be seen by all. And when Jesus tells us to be a light to the world, that means we are to serve as a guide. You know, if you're in a movie theater or you're in an airplane, there are usually those lighted paths on the floor that show you to the exit. Headlights are placed on vehicles so that we can see things clearly and avoid accidents. Traffic lights are used to guide us to our destination safely. Light guides, light shows us the way. And that is what God is calling us to do. We are to act as a guide for people, to show them the right way, the necessary way, the take a stand way. We are to convey God's way. Sometimes for people to do the right thing, it takes a strong person to lead the way. Dr. Martin Luther King and his approach to peace, Winston Churchill and Franklin Roosevelt, and all of those who stood their ground against Nazi Germany. Mother Teresa, who was a voice for the poor and the sick. Throughout our history, there have always been people, there will always be people who have the courage to take a stand and say, I'm not doing that. Or, more importantly, I am doing that. And when one person leads the way, it gives others the courage to say, I'm not doing that either. Jesus said, you are the light of the world, which means our lights must guide others, and we must lead the way for Christ. The last example, when we compare ourselves to light, is that light can be inviting. Light can give warmth. It can help us find our way when we are lost. And most of the time, light is something that we turn towards. The result of our Christian walk must always be not that we receive glory, but that we do things for God's glory, for any good that we do. The purpose of light is not to draw attention to itself, but rather to draw attention to the object it is shining upon. Our light shines so that people will not be attracted to us, but to the light of Christ, so that we can invite others to come and know that love of God. The theme that runs throughout the entire Bible is that where God is, there is light, and where God is not, there is darkness. When we do not deserve mercy, we receive God's grace. When we do not deserve a second chance, we receive God's forgiveness. When we are good and when we are bad, God is forever inviting us in to receive God's love. Jesus said, "You are the light of the world," which means your light must invite others into God's glory. As lights, we are to shine, we are to guide, we are to invite. The story for today is about a lady who is in her home a few days before Christmas time. Since we're in March, I thought maybe that was about Christmas. She's sad, this lady, because her husband died just a few weeks ago, and it's now a few days before Christmas, and it's snowing outside. It's been snowing for days. And she got a call this morning telling her that her family was not going to be able to make it in for the holidays. And she's sad because she's feeling lonely, but she's also sad because Christmas is her favorite holiday of all times. And more than anything else, she loved the lights, the decorations, because the lights and the decorations was togetherness for her. It symbolized family. It symbolized that Christmas meant God's light coming into the world, and it was her opportunity to ramp up what she did all year and let her light shine and give that gift to other people. But not this year. This year she's just sad because she's alone. She is so sad that her favorite thing to do, she refuses to do. So her house is not decorated for Christmas, not a tree, not a piece of garland, not a light anywhere to be seen. And she's sitting in her living room, wallowing in all of this, when her doorbell rings. Goes to the door, there's a boy standing at the door with a box in his hand, and he confirms that he has the right address, and he says, "This is for you," and she tells him to come in out of the snow, and he goes in and he puts the box on the table, and he opens the box immediately, and inside the box is a brand new puppy. As if you could have an old puppy, which she's got a brand new puppy. Now, whatever image popped in your head, a bulldog, a Labrador, a golden retriever, big, little, young, old, furry, hairy, brown, black, whatever you picture, that's the puppy that's in the box. Okay? And she sees the puppy, and she says, "What is this? Who sent you this?" And the boy said, "Well, it's a present for you, and I need you to sign for the package." And she again says, "But who sent me a puppy? Who does that?" And so he gave her the paper, she signs it, the boy goes to leave, and she said, "Would you please tell me who gave me this puppy?" And he smiles and he says, "It's your Christmas present from your husband." And he wishes her a Merry Christmas, and off he goes, and his part of the story is done. And the lady is in a bit of shock about what this means. She notices that there's a note with the puppy, and so she waits for the shock to pass. She takes a deep breath, she sits down in her recliner, and she reads the note that is from her husband. And it starts with the usual encouragements and building her up and all the things of love that a man and woman would say to each other. He explains that he got this idea a few weeks before he died, and so he called a kennel. They had a dog that was expecting puppies, And they made all the arrangements with the kennel. They made sure that the puppy was born and healthy. They've already trained it. It's housebroken and everything's paid for, and it's her Christmas present from her husband. And the most important thing for her was what he wrote at the end of the letter that said, "My dearest, I know that Christmas is your favorite time of the year, and I know that it's the time where you especially like to let your light shine. And my fear is that you wouldn't do that this year because of my passing and because of how difficult this has been. So I thought this little guy could help you. That together, the two of you could help each other, and the two of you could show everyone how to shine that light." So she reads it. She wipes the bucket of tears that are running down her face as her last communication from her husband, and she just, kind of takes it all in. She just sits there. She looks out her window, the snow's coming down, and she notices all the nice, brightly lit houses with all the Christmas lights that are on her street. She can hear Joy to the World coming from the radio in the kitchen. And she, all of a sudden, didn't feel so sad anymore, which is a good thing. She felt an inner peace. She felt a warmth kind of well up inside of her. And in that moment, she knew that she was going to be okay. And then she remembered she's got a new friend, a dog at her feet. And she picks the dog up and she holds him, like Simba in the Lion King. She holds the dog. And she says, "I think I'll call you Sunbeam, Sonbean. I think that's what I'll name you." She's still holding the dog like this. And she says, "How about some milk? I think you need a saucer of milk." And she looks at this little dog and she says, "But not too much milk, because you and I have work to do. We have a whole house to decorate for Christmas." Jesus says to us, "You are the light of the world." It's interesting. He doesn't say, maybe one day you'll get to be a light of the world. Maybe one day I'll put you on the list. Keep doing the things you're doing. You're in the running. Jesus says, right here, right now, you are the light of the world. It's up to us to see that as a gift, and it's up to us to show that gift to the world. And God's right here ready to help us. So we need to do that. We need to walk with the light, walk by the light, walk within the light, so that we can let our light shine. Let us pray. Gracious God, we know that we are lights to this world, even if sometimes we don't feel it. So help us to shine that light in all that we do for you in this world.